You are a hero. Understanding, I mean that in the most inclusive sense. What do I mean by you are a hero? When I say you are a hero, I mean that you are the protagonist in your own story. When you're in the ordinary world, it's comfortable. You are very comfortable with where you are. You feel enough, you feel sufficient. But when all of a sudden you get a call, and if the ordinary world represents comfort, the call represents discomfort. Now you are not as comfortable. You refuse to call mainly because you're hesitant about it, you're insecure about yourself, or you're just afraid. And then you meet a mentor. What is the mentor? The mentor is a guide, a coach that provides the encouragement you need to get to where you may want to go, but you're not sure you can make it to. And then you cross the threshold. The cross represents the commitment. By that point now, you're investing something in that journey. And there's a Joseph Campbell quote that I love. The hero's journey always begins with a call. One way or another, a guide must come to say, look, you're in sleepy land. Wake, come on a trip. There is a whole aspect of your consciousness, your being, that's not been touched. So you're at home here? Well, there's not enough of you there. And so it starts. I leave when my courage is greater than my comfort. And what do I mean by that? I think courage, right, and comfort are indirectly proportional, meaning the more courageous you are, the less comfortable you're going to be, right? And the more comfortable of a life you lead, the less courageous of a life you'll lead. Your initiation stage is going to involve tea, turmoil, trial, and a trophy, right? I love the idea of T. It's just an abbreviation for test, enemies, and allies. And here you're here to get the story. You're here for the story. Your T is going to involve people or things, right? Your test will begin immediately. How many of you can relate to the fact that once you decide I'm going to do something, I'm going to do this, all of a sudden everything breaks loose and now you have to deal with whatever is coming that's getting in the way of you doing the thing you said you were going to do. That's the test. So an enemy is someone who's against you or against the plan. It is possible an enemy could be a thing too, but for the purposes of our conversation here, we're going to focus on allies and enemies in the people sense, so to speak. So an enemy is against you or against your plan. An ally is for you or for your plan. Why do I have, you and your plan separated? Because it's possible to have someone who's for you, but who disagrees with somewhere where you're going, right? Disagrees with the plan that you have. And it's also possible to have someone who's for a plan that you have, but they're not necessarily for you. Maybe they're for the plan because it benefits them in some way. Now, what's the importance of labeling these parts, enemies and allies, right? It's important because if you don't have discernment, it's possible for you to label an enemy and ally. And if you don't have perspective, it's possible that you would label an ally an enemy. Who made your bed? Who made the box spring, the frames, the mattress? Who made it? Who made the sheets that were on the bed, the duvet or the quilt or the comforter? Who made that for you? Right? When you put your feet on the ground after you got up, who made the foundation of the home or the apartment or whatever the ground you were on? Who made that for you? Right? Did you make that? When you turned the faucet on or you went to brush your teeth, did you make the water? Did you do the plumbing that was in the household at that time? Like what part of that were you involved in? And you may say, well, I earned the money to build the house, to buy the house, to do whatever. Okay, stay with me. That's good. But how did you earn the money? Did you work for yourself? Like, did you have a customer who paid you that money that you could use? Did you work for an employer who hired you and then paid you to do this? And you're like, yeah, but I had the brain and I did all of this. Okay, great. So who invested in that brain? Who taught you your ABC, your 1, 2, 3, all the way to where you are to make the money to do and give yourself all these things? Got it? If I were to say that I did all of those this morning on my own, you would look at me as if I had lost touch with reality. And yet we go about life thinking we can be self-sufficient and accomplish and fulfill our lives in this fullest form by doing everything on our own. We can't. And I love the word exhortation. It's like my new favorite word. And the reason I like it because it has a diverse balance that it carries, right? So exhortation could refer to inciting and encouraging. warning and comforting. To those of us lawyers here, counseling and advocating for someone, right? And it's a wonderful word, but very often when we're pushing ourselves, we don't encourage ourselves. That's why we need a team. Or when we're comforting ourselves, we don't warn ourselves. That's why we need our team. There's a Scott Peck. He's the author of The Road Less Traveled. He was a psychiatrist, and he has a quote that I love. He says, mental health is dedication to reality at all costs. Mental health is dedication to reality at all costs. And I believe it's true, right? We often will start a conversation saying, you won't believe what happened. I do that often. You won't believe what happened. And, well, it did happen. So we can focus on not believing it happened, or we can focus on what happened and keep moving, And, or this shouldn't have, well, but it did. So we can focus on the fact that it shouldn't have, or we can focus on the fact that it did and figure out how to move forward. The departure, I want you to think of as something that you're going to. What are you going to? The initiation is something that you're going to be going through. What are you going through? And your return is going home. Where are you going? Goal that you're going towards, or what are you kicking towards? What is your goal? What are you kicking towards? And who else believes you can score? It really comes down to understanding that whatever we choose to do is okay, right? But we have to understand that other people will have a say too, right? Not so much that they have a say in what we do, but they may have a thought about what we're doing. So for example, if you were to choose your old self in an old home, people may be comfortable with you, right? But it will come at the cost of your growth. And whatever issues they had with you before you went on this journey, they're still gonna have with you. Or you could choose a new self in a new home. In the past, folks will look at you and say, well, who do you think you are? That you didn't come back to our society, the way things were, the way we had it before. And the current folks now where you are in your new home may not know you yet. So they may still be thinking too, like, who is this person? But at least maybe for you, you will find more peace being the new you in a new space.